it's Arik from Firearms Nation. And today, Nation, I'm going to ruffle some feathers. Yes, I'm going to be talking about something that is so dogmatic that people get violent in their response on the internet. Because you know, if it's on the internet, it means it's true. But wait, isn't this on the internet? Well, let me digress. I've taught hundreds of law enforcement officers this very subject. And I've seen it. The biggest problem is trigger control. Now, the way I was taught trigger control at the academy, and I fault nobody. Look, disclaimer. It is not about what's right, what's wrong, who knows the best, who's the biggest celebrity on the internet, who this, whatever. It doesn't matter. What matters is, does it work? And for anything that anybody says about a topic, let me tell you, there's somebody who does it different and they do it just as good. So what does that mean? Well, if it works for you, it works for you. But you can be an outlier. That means somebody who doesn't matter what you do, it's still going to work. You can have a funky grip on the gun. It works for you. You could be a big dude. It works for you. Right? Bigger dudes, like I said before, big, strong, tall guys with big, meaty paws. They can grip down on that gun. I don't care what they do with that trigger. It's going to work. But for everybody else, we got to come up with ways to do it properly. And we got to look at it. So I'm picking up, well, let me start with, since I'm wearing the SIG hat, let me start with my SIG P320. This is an awesome gun. This is the gun I compete with. I also carry this every day. It is empty, 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 empty. Ooh, that sounds nice. Empty. All right? For those of you that are worried about unintentional flagging and all that other stuff, it's empty. Okay. I'm sure that's just going to piss you off even more. But you know what? I don't care. So, when we talk about pulling the trigger, there are several ways of pulling the trigger. And you know what? Under most circumstances, it works. Bottom line, in order to be successful with this gun, handgun, rifle, you need to pull the trigger to the rear without moving the sights. That is the biggest tip for trigger control. There's all this other stuff that gets involved with when we pull the trigger because we are the only input into the gun, right here. So let's look at the different trigger controls. Now, the one that I was taught, and this is what is taught at a lot of academies, is the pull and pin. When I mean pin, I pull the trigger and I'm pinning it to the rear as the gun cycles. Once it cycles, I slowly come off till I hear that little click. Now I have a Glock here and I'll show you. The Glocks are fabulous on that audible click. Because to everybody, that means it's reset. So yes, the gun is now reset. It is in the reset position. The striker is ready to go. All I need to do is pull again. And I have a great shot. In theory. In reality, what I see people do is they pull, pin, wait for that click. Now they're adding an extra step. They're waiting for that click. And then when they get that click, it's like a go switch. Boom. I got to go now. Click, go. Click, go. Or I read something on the internet. Yes, I'm on the internet too. I read something on the internet. They call it click, bang. Click, bang. Right? So it's click, bang. Click, bang. And you see, I'm exaggerating a little bit, that jerk. But let me tell you, I've seen hundreds of people jerk that shot every time. That's problem number one. I'm going to pick up my Glock 34. Let me take off the SIG hat. My Glock 34. And this one is empty too. It's empty there as well. And I racked the slide. I am not pointing at myself. You know who you are. So, with the Glock, remember, I pull the trigger, hold it to the rear, pinning it to the rear, cycles. Oh, listen to that click. So I hear that click, and I'm going to go bang. Okay? The problem is if we think about it in terms of practicality. This is originally, and I've been doing a lot of research on it, this is originally the pull and pin. It comes from a marksmanship style of shooting, a bullseye style of shooting, when you're really trying to teach somebody trigger control. So you're really overemphasizing the movements, right? I'm taking up the pre-travel. I'm doing a slow squeeze or a slow press to the rear. I'm holding it as the gun cycles. So now I'm going to feel that reset. Okay, I just felt the gun reset. So now I know it's ready to go and I can pull. And I have literally, if you look at it, right, if you look at it, there's no pre-travel anymore. So I'm right on engagement. Supposedly that's good. I haven't found it to be good, but supposedly that's good. So I break the shot again. But if you think in practicality, when, for all my pull and pinners out here, when are you ever going to pull the trigger like that in the real world? Are you going to do that in competition? Are you going to do that in a gunfight? No, you're not. I tried it. I tried it in a competition. I was squirting on targets, and I was doing the pull, click, pull. I was incredibly slow. And at the end of it, a good friend of mine came up to me and said, "What are you doing? You're so slow because you're waiting for that reset." And then around the same time, someone else told me about, well, if you look at the gun right now, it's already been fired. So let me get it out of my face. So when I watch the trigger here, when I cycle it, the trigger is going to move forward on its own. So why am I holding it back? What if when I pull that trigger and when the gun cycles, I just relax my finger slightly? Look what just happened. I just met the trigger. And you're worried about a lot of pre-travel? Well, I only met it, and here I have some control on that trigger. And you know what? That could be a good thing. Because imagine I get my finger on that trigger, and for whatever reason, my sight picture changed. Someone came into the way of the target, of the threat. Somebody surrendered. A partner of mine ran in front of the target. Do I want to be pulling the trigger? No. No, I want to be able to have the ability to disengage. So if I increase my dexterity with this finger and have more control on this trigger, that is a win-win. Let me get back to that shooting slow in competition, and you would never pin and reset in a real world fight. If you look at any of the traffic stop gone bads or shootings in the real world, when people are pulling that trigger, how fast are they pulling it? They are pulling it really fast. They are not stopping to pin the trigger. Remember, guys, that was meant to teach you about trigger control. It is not trigger control. Teaching you about trigger control, not trigger control. Okay? It is not. You need to learn how to pull the trigger straight to the rear without disturbing the sights at speed. Wait, let me get my SIG hat back on. Gun is still empty. And if you're worried about me flagging my hand, by looking through the camera, you can see it is not on that same plane. All right, back to pulling at speed. If I pull this at speed, that's what's going to happen. Now, if I can get good at manipulating my finger so it doesn't move completely off the trigger each time, it's a win-win again, right? To be able to manipulate that finger very fast and control this trigger. That's what we're going to do. That's what we do in competition, and that's what's going to happen in the real world. You are not going to pin it to the rear. So I know there are some die-hard pull-and pinners out there, and I've worked with some of you in the past. You've got to get past it. First way to get past it, dry fire. If you have the ability to have someone cycle the gun for you, when you pull that trigger, they cycle it so you can move your finger forward and catch the trigger again, That's the way to do it. If not, you can do it yourself, kind of like I just did. I pull the trigger, I cycle it, move my finger forward. If I pull the trigger and I don't do it fast enough, and I get that click, all right, that means I didn't do it right. Let me look at it again. Pull the trigger, cycle it, move my finger. Pull the trigger, cycle it, move my finger. And you'll get better at it. Of course, once we do it dry, we got to do it live. Go to a range. The easiest way to start doing this is to shoot into a berm. You have to go to a range where will allow you to shoot fast and do like a bill drill. Into the berm, no target. A bill drill is 6 shots as fast as you can on the buzzer. You will not be able to pull and pin if you're going as fast as you can. It's physically impossible. If you're going half as fast as you can, yes, you can do that. That is the best way to do it live. We will revisit this over and over again. I know this is going to create a lot of controversy. A lot of people are diehard pull and pinners. This is not a gamer technique. You can go to all the top instructors. They are teaching the same thing. Look, guys, it's a big world out there. There are a lot of ideas. This isn't the only way. But think practicality. Biggest question I can ask you, are you ever going to pull and pin in a real world gunfight? If you think you can, I'd like to hear about it. If you've never been to this site before and this is the first time here, be sure and sign up, hit subscribe down below. And if you're adamant that you don't like this technique, I'd like to hear about it. Let's have a discussion. I'm up for it. This is Arik from Firearms Nation. Join the nation.